Hello, we would like to remind everybody how important it is to vote during primary elections, right, Aria?
No voice is too small.
Primary election voting is for everybody,
including voters who are independent.
Request your mail-in ballot today or come vote in person on August 2nd.
Dr. Ziri for mayor. Community first.
Pledge of Allegiance is if everybody would stand. The flag is behind me here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for everybody being punctual and in their seats. Welcome. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bullhead City Mayoral Candidates Forum. We thank all of you who are here in person and our viewers at home. I'm Dominic Dragone with Murphy Broadcasting, and co-moderating tonight's event with me is Tara Haywood from the Mohave Valley Daily News. We'd like to welcome our three candidates this evening. Steve D'Amico. Mr. D'Amico retired in 2021 after 32 years in casino management. He's a small business owner and served 2 terms as City of Bullhead City Councilman and 3 times as Vice Mayor. Ms. Ashley Girich. Ms. Girich has her Juris Doctorate, was awarded honorary certification for over 160 hours of pro bono work in public service from the Mohave County Attorney's Office and works as a philanthropist and entrepreneur. She currently sits on the Colorado River Union High School District Governing Board. Dr. Wahid Ziri. Dr. Ziri is the owner-operator of Desert Oasis Medical Center, Chief of Staff at Western Arizona Regional Medical Center since 2017, and former City Councilman for Bullhead City from 2020 to 2022, and he is currently a board member of the New Bullhead Community Garden Project. All our candidates were apprised of the forum's format prior to this evening and agreed to adhere to our regulations, which we will now explain. Prior to taking their seats on stage, our candidates drew numbers from a bowl to determine the order. Candidate 1, Mr. D'Amico, will answer the opening question first, and we will then continue with Dr. Ziri as number 2, and then Ms. Girich as number 3. Question 2, it will rotate throughout all the questions. So question 2 will be answered by Dr. Ziri first, then Ms. Girich, and then Mr. D'Amico. This process will continue until all questions have been answered by all candidates. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question. Now, should a candidate personally reference one of the other candidates in his or her answer, that candidate will be allowed a 30-second rebuttal. The timekeeper is sitting next to me at the moderator table. And when a candidate has 30 seconds remaining to answer, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 30 seconds, indicating that there is 30 seconds left to answer. Please wrap up when you see the next sign, which is the stop card. If a candidate continues to speak after the stop card is held up, we will say thank you and move on to the next speaker. If a candidate goes over time and or speaks over another candidate's time, their microphone may be muted. Personal attacks about other candidates are out of order and will not be tolerated. Repeated violations of this rule may result in muting and or dismissal from the stage. Please note that this forum is being broadcast live and will be rebroadcast several times on the Mohave Valley Daily News Facebook page, website, and YouTube page. This forum is also being simulcast on the Murphy Broadcasting Bullhead City Facebook page. Okay, our audience gets some instructions too. Please silence your cell phones at this time if you haven't already. We request that you treat all candidates fairly, and please refrain from applause until the last question has been answered by all candidates. Reminder, there's no campaign literature or signs. Anybody got any signs? None of that? Okay, so the source of questions. The questions that we'll be asking our candidates this evening were publicly submitted via email and electronic form to Mohave Valley Daily News and Murphy Broadcasting. In lieu of opening statements, we will instead jump right in with the first citizen-submitted question. Thank you. Okay, Mr. D'Amico, this question is for you. First, why do you believe you're qualified to be mayor of Bullhead City, and what have you done for the community while you've been a resident?
Thank you. Hello? Thank you. I have something that the other candidates don't have. I have a record. I've been on the council for 8 years. So I have experience. I believe it's good experience. What have I brought to the table? There's so much to be proud of. When I first ran for city council, the city wanted to do a 1% sales tax for our roads. They said if we don't do this, there's no out, there's no plan B. Everybody's cars are going to be falling into potholes. Well, I fought against that. I was the only candidate back then that was against it. Luckily, the voters were on the same side as me, and we didn't pass it. And we are doing our roads today just like we would had we got that 1% sales tax. As a matter of fact, we're doing our roads even better today. Just recently, we originally wanted to start doing out 20% a year of the worst roads of microsurfing and repaving, and we're going above and beyond. Last year, we almost did 40%, and we did, for the first time in years and decades, we remilled and completely redid 4 new streets. So it goes to show the people that when the government's asking you for money, they don't always need it, don't always believe them. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Ziri, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Why do you believe you're qualified to be mayor of Bullhead City, and what have you done for the community while you've been a resident?
So the question is,
Dr. Ziri, you want to pull that very close to you, about 2 inches away.
So the question is, that, can you hear me? Yeah, that why I'm running for mayor. So Bullhead City is my home. This is the only place I have a personal property and a business for last 27 years. I'm running for mayor because I deeply care about our community. And the day I moved in this town, which is 1995, 27 years ago, my career in our community is about the service, is not the politics. And I always step up when community need me. Now I'm working with so many talented people in our community for last 27 years in so many things we did in last 27 years. It's not like I'm just show up and nobody know who I am. We started with so many people, AP classes. We did a fundraising for the 9/11 victim. We did take care of the COVID pandemic. We started internship for the youth. We did healthcare. We did healthcare for Mohave County. Then I'm also elected as a city council in 2020, and I served you for 15 months before I resigned to run for mayor. So at present, I'm working on 4 projects with some wonderful people. Number 1 is a community garden. Number 2 is outdoor theater. Number 3 is outdoor gym and adult daycare center. So I'm a proven leader and community advocate with vision and plan for our community. Thank you.
Ms. Gurich, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. So qualifications. I've been in this community 27 years. I'm 32 years old. I've got a Juris Doctor from the Mitchell Hamlin School of Law out of Minnesota. I have a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership, and what that means is essentially a lot of my education was for policy, procedure, organizational skills, project management, human resources, and fiscal allocation. I am a constitutional conservative, so even if I don't have the experience that others may have, I am a very hardworking individual that has essentially risen from someone in the city that dropped out of high school and worked her way up from the bottom. I've owned 7 businesses in this town. I've had large budgets to have to deal with through employment, and as a school board member, I may not have a large record. But from what record I do have, I have fought CRT in our schools. I got rid of the I helped push the fight for ASBA and getting rid of them, and bringing the local government or local control more of what we need here. And what that means is we need to focus on the people here and the families here. So I think that on my qualifications, I may be new, but I definitely have the tenacity and the ability to be a great mayor. Thank you.
Our next question. If you become mayor, what will you do differently compared to what has been happening during the past 2 years? Dr. Ziri, we'll begin with you.
See, I live here for 27 years. Daily, in my normal day, I speak with 60 to 70 people. So in 27 years, I almost spoke 1 million people in our town. And we speak about sick dog, so what's happening in the Washington. See, what I will do different than what's happening in the city, number 1, my priority will be local one, community first. What we will do, that will bring our community together. So we have 42,000 population in Bullhead, 42,000 population surrounding area. So this combined is 84,000 population. I want to bring this 84,000 population as a one community. Number 2, street lights and the sidewalk. Then summer program for the youth with the help of Boys and Girls Club. Then adult daycare center, which is really very, very important for our senior, because we have a 13,000 senior living in Bullhead City, and they need our help. And if we are not going to do it, I don't know who's going to do it. Then EV charger. You know, yesterday it asked the question about the energy. Energy is not just electricity. You know, I think we are 10 years behind here than other part of the country. Energy means solar energy. Energy means electricity. We have water problem. So we have a problem making the electricity through the dam. So we need to bring the solar system in this town, EV charger, because the next EV charger is just in the needles. And we need to take care of the homeless in a nice way, with a planned way. What we're doing in the last few years is not working. The other thing is the ordinance for the fireworks. That will be my priority too. and affordable housing, and vet for the animal care, and solar system. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Girich.
Thank you. So the thing that I would do differently is first I would work from the city inside out. And I'm not saying the city's done a bad job, but I think that boosting city employee morale is the start of that. Then we have to work on our city infrastructure. What I mean by that is we need to get back to our locals, our families. I am an individual that has 5 children here. I raise children here, just like a lot of individuals in this room raise children here. And we need to remember that it's not all about our travelers that are important. We also have veterans. We have a high population of veterans that we really need to consider working and providing more resources to them as well as our senior citizens, because there's a lot of people that I've talked to throughout the city that they are hurting right now, and we know that, right? Everybody knows that. Everybody's hurting. Another thing I would do differently is work on public safety. So statistics don't lie. We have a drug problem in the area. We have petty theft, petty offenses. We have a large problem with petty offenses in the area. That's misdemeanors, class 1 and below. And we really need to work on recruitment for our officers and be able to do an audit on our police department. I think that's what we need to do in order to ensure a better operational structure for our police department. And I don't mean an audit just means essentially they'll go through and see what efficiency can be worked on better, because we need to go out there and we need to stop the problem. And rising crime is one of the problems, and we need to stop that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you. The question was, what will I do differently? You ever heard the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it? Our city is rock and rolling right now. For those of you that have lived here over 8 years, look at the difference between 8 years ago and right now. We are really doing a lot for our community. 8 years ago, when I first got on, we weren't doing hardly anything for our kids. We were looking at just stuff for tourists and everything. Now we're spreading the money out fairly where it should go, to our kids, to our seniors. I could start down the line with our kids. We just did the padding for the splash pad at Kinfolgert Park for safety reasons. Not only that, it's beautiful, the kids love it. We have another splash pad we're going to be doing at Community Park for the kids. We have another one we're going to be doing at Rotary Park. We're going to have a pump track for the kids. We've just upgraded the skate park. The senior center, we're adding on to the senior center, so it should be completed next year, 1.5 years. We're going to have more activities for the seniors to do there. Veterans, we've done a lot for the veterans. We've negotiated with contracts with the American Legion, who I'm a member of. Their bathroom went down. The city owns that property. We got them probably the best looking bathroom in town now. Our roads are getting done. We're rocking and rolling right now. Sometimes change is good, sometimes change is bad. When something's going good, you need to keep going good. So as far as change, I'm going to keep supporting our city, keep our community engaged, and one of the biggest things is keep listening to our citizens. Thank you.
Okay, question 3. Describe one tangible project for the city that you would like to accomplish and how you will ensure that it actually happens. Ms. Girich?
This is a great one. I have said from day one that I really want to work on a teen recreational center, one that's free to our citizens and our teens and our children. If you go to the local pool, you have to pay a certain amount to go to the pool, which is fine, but then you have to be 13, I believe it's 13 or 14 years old to go in without an adult. And let's just face it, there are adults and parents that aren't necessarily going to take their kids to the pool. They're not going to they're going to essentially let their kids just run amok. And unfortunately, I was one of those kids. And so I really have a heart for the children. And I think that when we produce good leaders for the future, then we can start seeing growth in our city from our own residents. So I think that I would want to do a rec center. I think that it's important. We used to have a rec center down off of Marina when I was maybe 12 years old. And it was such a great resource for me because I didn't get to go to the pool because my mom wouldn't go with me. She was too busy doing drugs or drinking alcohol, whatever she was doing at the time. But the fact is, we need more resources for our kids. And yes, we can go and do the splash pad, but here's the thing. Not a lot of kids live in near the community park. Most of the children here live in the lower end of the city, which is okay. But we need more applicable resources there within the vicinity of them to be able to actually walk there. And I think that, like I said before, we had off of Marina a recreational center, and it was such a great resource. And I think that utilizing that building or even doing something different, we need to facilitate that. And I will work very hard to convince our city council members that that's a great idea.
Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you. We are doing some great things for the kids. We budgeted $50,000 this year for Boys and Girls Club. We've went up. We were giving them $30,000. We also budgeted $100,000 that we could potentially use next year for after-school programs. That being said, I want to get into one main project. There's so many, I could probably sit here for 8 hours talking about them. The animal shelter. That's my baby right now. It should be all of our babies. Probably everyone here has animals and loves their pets. Our shelter was not a good place for a lot of years. Not the people that are in there now. We had some bad management in the past. We didn't have councils that really supported our shelter. We budgeted approximately $900,000 this year to do the architectural work. We are building a new shelter. It's going to be across the street from where the present shelter is. Now, that's fine and dandy. We'll probably end up spending anywhere from $3 to $5 million on that. Hopefully mostly through grants. Now that being said, a building doesn't solve the problem. We also started implementing some of the plans that I thought might not be implemented till after I'm mayor, but we started right now. I got animal control separated from animal care and welfare. Before we had animal control doing 2 jobs, and I'm sorry, they're 2 completely separate jobs. Now we have animal control just doing the enforcement. They're working with PD, and the shelter are standalone. They're working with Jeff Tipton, who's a great guy. Already I've brought in best friends to meet with them. They're sending our staff through training. I think the only training they might have had before was animal control training, not shelter management training. And I don't know if you've on the Bullhead PD site or on Facebook, you can see all the dogs and cats that are getting adopted now that weren't before. Also, we're getting a veterinarian in there. So all these animals that come in, they're getting intake. They weren't getting that before. Now, spay and neuter clinic, we're going to have that attached there also. Low-cost spay and neuter, where you don't have to go to Kingman now. Now, he says stop, so I got to stop. Thank you.
Dr. Ziri, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, can I ask you that you asked is a new project or already project which is there, which already approved in the city council? You're asking for new project, am I right? Not already approved and already done.
Correct. If you become mayor, what would you do different?
I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you for explaining. So you know that the population in the Bullhead in census 2020 is 4,426. You know how much seniors are there? 13,000. These seniors who pay taxes all their life, when they are 16-year-old, they start working, and they retired at 65, and they cannot get anything. If even they go see a doctor, they cannot get insulin. They cannot get a blood pressure medication. Seniors are very important. They are the backbone of our city, our country, our economy, everything. These are the people who work all their life. So what I will do everything which will help the senior plus everything else. So my priority will be adult daycare center, and I will tell you why. Every day, you know, I see patient, my average patient age is around 75. And family, they have a person living alone, and his family, suppose his family living in New York City, they are confused, they cannot take medication, If somebody come and visit them, they cannot even go or buy grocery or do anything because they cannot leave them alone for a 1 second. This senior need adult daycare center. We already have a senior center which provide almost 75% of the service which will provided by adult daycare center. Me and my wife, we visited in Las Vegas in the senior adult daycare center, and we like it. And really, this is the thing we need to start at our senior center. Access pay for it. Medicare is going to pay in few years because they need to. We need to pass in the Senate and the Congress. And, you know, we can have some caregiver come there. Sorry, thank you.
Our next question. Given the ongoing drought, what can the city do to ensure there will be a plentiful, long-term, affordable supply of water for both residents and businesses? Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you. Well, unlike other cities, like the big cities, Phoenix, Las Vegas, all the big metropolitan areas, we are set pretty good for our water. We have allocation right now to go up to 100,000 population. Our population is approximately 35,000 right now. That doesn't mean that someone every day from Phoenix, from Tucson, from everywhere else is trying to get to our water. I'm sorry, can you hear me now? All right, every day somebody is trying to get our water, be it the Phoenix area, the Tucson area, Vegas, other states. We all depend, a lot of us depend on the Colorado River. We have allocations for high water. We will fight to keep our water. On top of that, we got $1 million grant from the federal government a few years back, and we are injecting our affluent water into the ground. And once everything's said and done and we have that operating smoothly, we'll be able to put that water back into the Colorado River to use downstream. I'm hoping to get other cities, other states to get on board with us because it's not getting any better. We have, unless we get a miraculous 1,000-year snowstorm in Denver, the levels aren't getting any better. So there's things that we have to do. And one of the things I'm proud of is we're the first to start doing the affluent injection, and we put that in the river. If we get everybody doing that down the line, then we could at least save our water a little bit. But we're in a better position than many other cities, and we're going to keep ourselves in that position. Thank you.
Dr. Ziri.
Yeah, it's not fair for a water for 2 minutes. We need 2 hours for water. Now let me tell you, and please pay attention. The annual allocation of water for Bullhead City is 15,200 acre feet. You know who control the water? Each and every drop of Colorado River water controlled by Bureau of Reclamation, Secretary of Interior. Every drop of water comes to Bullhead or any part. You know, there are 6 states and 2 states in Mexico, Baja California and Sonora. This is the treaty and contract done in 1912 by Bureau of Reclamation, which never changed after 100 years. Still we are sending water to Mexico, in Baja California and Sonora. Now, how much water we used last year in Bullhead City? So our allocation is 15,210. We only use 7,430 acres. So we save half of the water of allocation. Where this water is going? Anybody knows? In the bank in the Phoenix. So in 2026, if we get less water, they will give us. The Bureau of Reclamation in 2020, they gave us $200 million for Colorado River to save the water conservation. It's called Imposed Water Fund. And Bullhead City got $5 million last year. Now we get $1.4 million. So if we save the money, you know, it's just going to be a rebate. Now, the 70% is the residents and 30% is the commercial. Who is using 70%? HOA. We need to change the turf, grass into the turf. And you know how much city is offering them? $1 to $1 up to $50,000 rebate. Thank you.
Ms. Garrett.
Thank you. So water allocation is very important, and so is water conservation. As we know, our Lake Mead is drying up, and we are in a position where eventually we won't have any water coming through the dam. And unfortunately, that is a very scary, scary thought. So right now, the city is in a Plan B for their conservation proposal, which I could go through it with you, but that'll take us way more than 2 minutes, so I won't. But the fact is, what we need to do is we need to stop selling off our water. What we need to do is I believe we need to go back to the wells for watering our parks. We've taken our parks off of wells, and we've actually put them on city water. So that allocation from last year that was being done is now being used up because we're watering all of the parks. And unfortunately, I don't believe that use it or lose it is something that I agree with, but I think that we need to fight with our legislator to keep our water local and keep our water here instead of sending it off. And we also need to utilize the resources we have. Firstly, I don't know why it's such a big issue for me, but I will take that little fountain outside of City Hall, or I will fight until it is, because that's one thing where I'm like, we are sitting here and we're trying to conserve water, but we have a water fountain in front of City Hall. What type of people are we to sit there and show the others that we need to conserve? So, so I think what we need to do is we need to stop selling off our water, and we need to go back, instead of utilizing city water that's allocated to the citizens, we need to go back to the well water, to watering our parks. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is, to help Bullhead City grow beyond just a service-based economy, what companies or industries would you try to bring to the area to provide higher-paying jobs? And how can you accomplish that without negatively impacting existing businesses, especially our small businesses? Dr. Ziri, you have 2 minutes.
So this is a really good question. You know why? Because we are talking about affordable housing. You know, everybody is talking about affordable housing. And the businesses also help affordable housing. We had to think out of the box. You know how much COVID money we got? $18.2 million. And $8 million to the county. If you combine all this money, is almost $24 million, which we could use here to do a lot of things for the future. You know, like we did, but we didn't do in an organized way, in a way that we can use that $24 million in a way when everybody knows what to do, how to do it, what is our priority, how we can take care of it. Like an example, this 27 acre between the Riverview and between the other side, Marina. They sold for what? $1.22 million. City could still buy it from that, all the money, and use it affordable housing. But see, we don't want to think out of the box. You know, like, oh, we don't want to go to real estate. So right now, a lot of companies like Google, Amazon, if you look, they are paying billion and billion dollar for affordable housing for their employee. So we need to bring that here. 30 seconds? Okay. We have to bring them here so they can afford the affordable housing for us. Now, the problem is we go and sell the Bullhead. No, we had to sell the whole area, which is 84,000 people. Google, and there's a small Sprouts company or any other company, they are not going to come to Bullhead City if you sell them 42,000 people. You have to show them that we have 100,000 people. You know, and we are. Thank you.
Ms. Gurich.
Thank you. All right. The question was service-based economies and negatively impacting the current businesses already in the area. Here's the thing. Back in 2008, when a recession hit, we had our large companies leave us, and that's a fact. Unfortunately, we are in a position where that might be the case soon. That might be in our inevitable future. And so for me, I think that in order to mitigate the service-based professions and bring in more trade-like or more higher-paying positions, what we need to do is we need to incentivize people coming here for their small businesses. I understand that the large companies are, good for, like, Dot Foods came in and it was great. However, we will be the first ones hit through the recession, and unfortunately, that means that we need to take care of our own people. We need to incentivize people to be entrepreneurs, and we need to incentivize being able to do goods in the area. And I know that's very hard. Obviously, we don't have a very sustainable area, but if we utilize and we incentivize our small business owners or the people that want to be entrepreneurs and create something, then we would be able to drive operations in the area. I don't think that me asking for Sprouts Food to come is the smartest idea, because they probably won't come here anyways, but I sure would try, because I have to drive to Vegas for that. And I think that that's important, but those are still service-based industries. So unfortunately, we need to incentivize our local and small businesses, and we need to incentivize people to work harder, to be entrepreneurs, to take care of our own people. Thank you.
Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you. We're in a position now that we haven't been in we've never been in. When Dot Foods came out here, great company, I'm glad they're here. We had one spot to put them, the airport, and that was it. When I first got on, I wanted to bring industrial, better paying jobs here. There was nowhere to put them. Luckily, I seen you back there, that's why I stood up. Luckily, with the two developers on Laughlin Ranch Boulevard on each side, they got together with the city and they decided to pay 1/3 of the cost to do the Laughlin Ranch Boulevard, going from Highway 95 up to Laughlin Ranch Boulevard. They did not do that because they're nice people and love our city and just want us to have a nice blank desert out there with a road in it. They did it because they're open for business. We now have the places to put these businesses, so now we can recruit for those. I just came back from Vegas for the shopping center convention. We have 14 businesses that are interested in doing business with us. I cannot disclose that right now. There's a lot that goes into that. I will tell you one business that we picked up before that. We got, I believe, Frito-Lay is going to be coming out here. I hope they're still coming out here to do a distribution center. We can have better paying jobs. I've been in talks with Ollie Solis. He's the developer that bought the state land across the street from that whole city block, across the street from City Hall. One of the things that's great there, he's going to be building a hospital on the corner, a little mini hospital. We could always use more. They're also going to be doing 300 units of low-cost housing there on the Lakehead side. But the whole community there, it's going to be a community now. It's going to be a city center. I don't know if those of you have seen city centers in bigger towns, Vegas and everything, but you will have housing on one side. You will have retail, hospital, restaurants, and then like a little park there in the inside. We have developers with the land to do the stuff we couldn't do before. So we got a lot to look forward to in the future. Thank you.
Our next question is a great one. Given the negative overall political climate, tell us one positive quality about each of your opponents' contributions to Bullhead City. Ms. Garrich.
That is a really good question. I really like that question. So I will start with Dr. Zeri. He is a medical professional in this area, and without medical professionals like him to be dedicated to Bullhead City, Arizona, we would not have the medical facilities that we have today. So that's, thank you. And for Steve D'Amico, he has put in many years of service for City Council, and I would like to applaud him for that because, you know what, doing this job is probably not the easiest, so I commend him for that.
Thank you. Mr. D'Amico.
I guess I'd have to echo Ashley on Dr. Zeri on the medical profession. So I give him props for that. And Ashley, I give her props for stepping up. It's a tough political climate these days. It's pretty rough out there. We wonder sometimes why people don't step up to run because it can get ugly at times, especially with social media. So I commend her for stepping up to run. Thank you.
Dr. Zeri.
Just only one thing or more. So so for Ashley, you know, I always think about it because I think she was in high school with my son. Am I right? Yeah. So I really, you know, I mean, when I see her running for the mayor position and she's working in the community, plus with the kids, and going for the attorney school, I mean, this is really, really good what she's doing for our community and for herself. Now for Mr. D'Amico, I have to think. So can I think about it? Let me think. Just give me, I still have a time, am I right? Yeah. I mean, he always there in the city council, and he is persistent, you know, for last 8 years, and he still want to run for mayor. So I mean, at least I can say he's very persistent what he do. Thank you.
Okay, candidates, the next question is, although the state has recently passed a $10 million project to help with congestion on Highway 95, how do you plan to address the congestion problem and improve traffic flow on Highway 95? Mr. D'Amico.
I'm glad you asked me. Right after the Boombox Parade last year, I met with Leo Biasucci, Mayor Tom Brady, Sonny Borelli, and we sat down and had a little powwow on what we need for our city. And we need to relieve the traffic on Highway 95, so we looked at what we could do best for that. We did a right-hand turn lane on Marina Drive. I live off of Marina. That's one of the best things that happened to this city. People are not waiting for me to turn. I'm not waiting for them to go. Well, we let them know we needed that. We wanted to get about $18 million worth of right-hand turn lanes. I just talked to Leo 3 days ago. We did get approved for $9.7 million, so we are going to do a good share of our right-hand turn lanes, and that will alleviate good traffic. We also have plans already in effect to do a land and drive bypass. If you're shopping at Walmart and you happen to live over by that gas station over on Highway 68, you'll be able to drive there without ever hitting the Highway 95. You'll be able to go all the way from Walmart right to there. We have more plans in the future. One good thing, we got the $9.7 million. That'll do a little over half of the roads that we need right-hand turn lanes for. We could do some ourselves. When I first got on city council, our reserves were approximately a little over $5 million. Now we're going to be over $26 million. The reason that money is there, some people are like, well, why don't you spend that money? For reasons like this. When we have something that's in dire need to do, now we have the money, we can use it to do it. Thank you.
Dr. Zeri.
Thank you. So, you know, the traffic is an issue, but we need to know some facts. The last census before 2020 was 2010. From 2010 to 2020, we have only 7.6% increase in our population. In last 4 years, because a lot of people don't know this, they need to know that population related with the traffic. So in last 4 years, our population is increasing 1.6%. Same for last 4 years, 515 people increasing in 1 year, 515. Now the traffic get worse. In, you know, when snowbirds come here and they drive slow, or, you know, they are in Arizona and they don't know the rule and regulation, but still they are short term and then the long term for the traffic. Now the short term for the traffic is we have a London Drive which going to connect with the Highway 68, but we can do Arcadia also in the future. That also can connect. Also what we can do, we have a new bridge coming that will also relieve some of the congestion, and we can have this 18 right lane which is going to affect for $18 million. One lane costs $1 million. So that is 18 right lane that will take care of. Now the long term what we can do, that people who live here for a long time, they should know that there was supposed to be a bridge in the mid-city. So we should think about just put on the map for our future. That will be a third bridge either on the Hancock or Riverview or around that area. The other thing, for I-95, we need to take care of this vendor slice. You go from the Needles to here, Mohave Valley, and the mountain view need to, through the county. Thank you.
Ms. Girich.
Thank you. So I'm just going to start with a couple of statistics for 2021. There were 1,220 traffic accidents in 2021, 5 of which were fatal. So I think one main thing is that we need to work with ADOT to get, or at least with our adjoining areas, to make one speed limit. I think it's very hard for individuals to go from 40 miles to 45 miles to 55 or 50, especially when half the people are speeding down the road. We need to bring back traffic officers, and that starts with public safety. I think that when we sit there and we see decline in traffic stops, there's an issue. Especially because if I don't see an officer around, I'm not saying me, I'm saying hypothetically here. If I don't see an officer around, I'm going to go 55 and a 45. And most people will say, oh, well, it's only 5 miles over. Well, that 5 miles really makes a difference when you're on 40-mile-an-hour road. I think what we need to do is we need to make it one speed throughout. We need to work with our public safety department, our police department to bring back traffic officers, and do a better job at recruiting. And I'm not saying that the PD isn't doing a good job recruiting, because I think that they're doing the best that they have with the resources that they have. But what we need to do is we need to bring in an actual recruitment department. So as far as the $9.7 million, I think they did a great job advocating for that money, because it started at 25, then the negotiations dwindled down to 9.7. And if we have a $26 million reserve, I don't think it's necessarily, and unless there's going to be some sort of pledge that that's going to actually happen, I don't want to promise money or promise things without utilizing and knowing that that's what we're actually going to be doing. So I think traffic officers, and I think that mitigating the speed changes is important. Thank you.
Our next question, how much time do you believe it takes to effectively be mayor? And do you believe you have that time to commit? Dr. Zeri.
I have a 24/7. I can do. I have no problem. That's I do. I'm doing for 27 years. Wherever I need, I always step up and always do for the community for last 27 years. If I need as a mayor, and if I need for 24/7, I will be there sitting in Tom Brady office. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Garrett.
Wow, how can you beat that? So the question was how much time allocation to be mayor. So most people that are in this room know that I will be a Mohave County prosecutor. Mohave County prosecutors work 5 days a week, 2 days from home, so that's an allocation of 4 days. I have a lunch break, and fortunately for me, I get to walk. I can walk to City Hall from my work, and I think actually all of us can. But that being said, I think that the reason why you don't make that much money as a mayor, I believe it's $1,300 a month, is because it's not designed to be a full-time job. Because what happens is we have a city manager, and the way that our structure is for our political structure in our city is that our city officials are not designed to be full-time positions. They're not, they weren't, they will not be, and that's why we have the structure we have. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, the city manager does most of the operational structures throughout the day. Nobody else does that. Yes, of course, he'll come and he'll talk to the mayor and he'll talk to him about the things that he's planning or the things that he's doing, but it is his job. That is what he's supposed to do. You are a board. The mayor is on the board, and their job is not to infringe on the operations of the city unless they're advocating through the board itself. Thank you.
Thank you. I seem to disagree. I think mayor is a full-time job. Matter of fact, I know mayor is a full-time job. It's what you make of it. The reason I retired at age 54 is so I can be a full-time mayor. That's why I'm retired right now. I want to give into that. I have passion for this job. A mayor doesn't just show up to the council meeting and ribbon cuttings. A mayor is there with, when you're sitting in there, you get involved in these meetings. You have discussions with the city managers. You're setting the agendas. You get more involved than just the council meetings. You do have a bigger voice. But it is a full-time job, I will tell you that. You could ask Tom over there after the meeting. I challenge anybody to go ask Tom if this is a full-time job. It is a full-time job, and I'm ready for it. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is about river safety. The river safety is an ongoing issue, and while some steps have been taken, what more can they do? What more can the city do to ensure locals and visitors can enjoy themselves in the safest environment possible? Ms. Gurich.
Thank you. That is a great question. I've met with several jet ski rental places because they seem to get a bad name, and unfortunately, people think that they are the cause and they are the problem in the city. And you know, the people that I have met are actually, you know, our kids go to school together. They're contributors to our small community. They are chamber members. They are business owners. They're small business owners. And so I would like to say, let me start with, I just want to say thank you to the businesses that are here, our local businesses. I'll start with that. So I'm going to go down to Water Patrol for 2021. On the river, we had 1 DUI last year. And I don't know why this really irks me, because Nevada had 6, and I thought that that was alarming. I think that we need to allocate more resources to our water safety, our water patrolling. We had, let's see, citations 129. I don't know if anybody's seen that river, but I know we have 129, more than 129 people down at the river every weekend, unfortunately. Accidents on the water, 56 accidents that were recorded. Now what that means is, I don't have the who had the accidents, but what that means is we need to allocate better resources to our water safety, and that starts with our public safety. I'm so for public safety in our police department. I love our police officers, and I think that we need to really allocate more of our resources to the water, especially if we're gonna be a place where we welcome with open arms all of these summer visitors. Thank you.
Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you. This is a very, very sensitive and tough issue. We have been doing everything we can. It's not an easy fix. We started out with a lifeguard program. I'm sure everybody knows about that. We hired a private lifeguard company to go out there and patrol our river. They've been doing very good with us. We've purchased a couple more boats. We're getting more officers out there. We put a lifeguard. Thank you. We put a lifeguard on every boat now as opposed to 2 officers. It's very tough for an officer that's fully geared to jump into that river and save somebody. Now we have a lifeguard on there, which helps the process. We're always also looking at putting some lifeguards on the beach to patrol the beach area, civilian lifeguards, so we relieve more PD. And I want to go off into PD too. Our PD, this is the first time in 18 years with the next 2 officers that we just hired that we would be fully staffed. First time in 18 years. And some of the ways we did that was we put relief on them. We're going to be giving our park rangers more authority to perhaps cite people for glass, cite people stuff that you would normally call an officer down and take away from them. We need to keep our officers on the street. But as far as water safety, we did the videos, the safety videos that you have to watch. We did the wristbands. To some people, they sound corny, but every little bit we do helps every little bit. And going forward with putting lifeguards on the beaches too, we also just did our no swim wake zone. It used to just be by Harris. Now we have it protecting the kids all on the swim area. They come in there now, they're in big trouble. As far as, I'm not going to tell PD to give everybody a ticket there. I want us to have safety, but I also want us to have our liberties. And I'm not going to tell one police officer that guy needs to be cited, not to be cited. We have to trust them with their judgment. Some people, good people, make bad mistakes. They might be their first time on a jet ski and make a wrong turn, and the officer might warrant that they just need a warning, where another officer might warrant that, hey, we need to give this guy a ticket. Thank you.
Dr. Ziri.
You know that like every year we have a discussion on hot topic. So river safety is a hot topic for last few years in our community. And the Colorado River is 1,450 miles. And Bullhead only has 3 miles of Colorado River, and we have shared custody. You know how many agencies responsible for Colorado River? 15. If I count, my 2 minutes will be finished. So let's see how we reach here, you know. I mean, Bullhead City doing everything what they can do. In 2017, we set up a pilot river safety program. In 2019, we contract with a water reserve safety, which recently we increased to $414,000. Is a cap for fee for service, which is adding the Monday and October now. So it's one more month for them for safety on the river. Then we did a work session, so many work sessions in the city. We did on August 18, 2021. And few people, you know, from Facebook, there no more death on Colorado River, and the Park and Recreation, and the Easy Family, they have a very big contribution for the river safety. And then some proposition came, and we are working on that, which include wristband, try to increase the age through legislation to 16, boating classes make mandatory, and citation. So I speak in the city council about that, and we went, other people came to the Laughlin town board. The long term what we need is a river safety joint task force. This we need for the future. We cannot just provide everything on the river from Bullhead City. We just got 2 new board too. Thank you.
Our next question. Homelessness continues to be a problem in our country, including our community in which many are veterans. What would be your plan to help resolve the issue? Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you very much. Well, I can share a lot of my plans. Some of it's already been implemented. Many years ago, I understood we had a problem. I went down to Oakland for 3 days and toured the homeless facilities down there. I needed to find out what worked, what didn't work, because it's a new thing for us down here. And I found the only place that was successful, for lack of better words, they used a tough love system. And I'll tell you right now, first of all, we have to differentiate between homeless and transients. There's a big difference. Our homeless, bad things happen to good people. I want to help the true homeless get on their feet. The transients that are living in encampments out here, doing drugs, breaking into our small businesses, I don't want them in our town. If they want help, I'm here to help them. If you don't want help, we can't help you. I don't know if anybody knows about drugs, but I'm sure almost every family's had somebody that's a drug addict in their family, and until they're ready to stop, there's nothing you could do to help them. So going forward, we're going to continue to send police and social services out to these encampments, and when we approach them, we ask them and offer them any help they can to get them back on their feet. If they want the help, we're there to help them. If they don't want the help, then they have to hit the road. Thank you.
Dr. Ziri.
See, homeless is very sensitive to me, you know, because when I came to United States, I stayed in a church for 4 months in Flushing, New York in 1991, and I used to eat just the rice and the donuts. So I know how it feels before I get my residency in NYU. Let's talk about homeless. The facts that 35% increase in the homelessness in last 2 years, and because of the housing crisis and economic hardship, Phoenix is #1 in the country, increasing in the homelessness. And what we did in last 10 years, we started the task force by J.D. Drought 10 years ago, and then we start a shelter in October 2020, 57 bed. If you go in Google shelter and go that date, October 2020, you know what it says? 24/7, 57 bed shelter available for homeless people. It didn't happen, never happened, it still not happen. So what happened that everybody, when they get shelter, city drop the ball. They, oh, we have a shelter now. So they put their ordinance that we cannot feed people in the park. These people are our brother and sister. Either they are drug addict, they are mental problem, they have no house, they have no food, no water. Still they are our people. Come on. So what we need to do, our goal is to get out from the street to the shelter to rehabilitation. And the solution is that we need a strong coordination between all non-profit organizations and start that task force again, especially the mental health, and they put the unsheltered people by non-police street outreach team as a volunteer, so we can bring the trust and the respect. And then Pallet Village, through the Pallet Fund, we can start that for unsheltered people. Thank you.
Ms. Garich.
Thank you. So a good friend of mine, she was running for Senate of Nevada, and she used the term that I really, really liked, and it was hand up, not hand out. And I think that that was a great idea as far as what I would like to see with our homeless population. As he said, that you know, there's a difference between transient and there's a difference between somebody down on their luck. And trust me, I've been down on my luck. I've actually been in some of the homeless shelters here in the area before they were, you know, Hildy's house or whatever it was. And unfortunately, I've had to live in, you know, in bad places. So I understand what that means. And so that being said, we need to hand up and not hand out. So we need to implement programs, and if we're going to subsidize a homeless shelter, then that homeless shelter we should be working with them hand in hand to stay open all the time. Like he said, it is not open 24/7, and most of the and correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the individuals have to leave through the day, and they can only come back in the evening. And unfortunately, it's 120 degrees outside. So the people that want to change and want to make a difference, that is, I mean, it's almost impossible. There's no, if you want to go and get clean, you have to actually go and get a referral to be able to admit yourself into a facility to help you get clean. So when we look at our resources, we need to really start developing resources that help people get on their feet instead of holding them where they are, because our system is designed to keep people down. Unfortunately, if you look at the DES system, you look at all of the social services systems, they aren't meant to hand up, and we need to hand up and not hand out. Thank you.
The Bullhead City River Run is growing after 2 years of replacing the Laughlin River Run. What role should the city play in this yearly event, if any at all? Dr. Ziri.
I mean, we are here as a business. Bullhead City is a non-profit organization. And you know, people talk about Ragada many years ago, we should do it, we should not do it, community divide half and half. I am for business. And business not for profit, business for the community, give back to the community. So anything we can do to bring businesses, sell tax, any type of business which help us in growth, I'm for it. Thank you.
Ms. Girich.
What a fun time at the River Run this last year. I think a lot of people had a good time. That being said, I don't even think it was only the city that participated in keeping people safe on the roads, considering there was several different agencies throughout the county that helped patrol areas so that we could keep our area safe while we were having the River Run. That being said, I don't think that the city should be in the business of business. I believe in a capitalistic society, yes, of course, but the River Run, if they want to do their thing, I believe solely that they should be doing what they want to do as long as it is in the guidelines to what they're permitted to do. I really like that they did it. They had it at the field house where I'm a school board member there, and we are the ones that look over that building, and I think it was a phenomenal event. However, I just think the city should how would I say this, stay in their own lane. Thank you.
Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Larry Topping, who started the Bullhead River Run. He is one of our locals that lives here in Bullhead City, and a lot of the money that he made went back to our local nonprofits, which you wouldn't see from an outside promoter. The city can support in certain ways anyone that comes out here to do an event, but I do agree we're not in show business. However, we do support nonprofits that get involved. They're the ones that took our parks for the river run. We'll always support our nonprofits. Regatta was a little different. That was actually us doing. I don't believe the city should be running events, but do I believe we can support events to bring in money and to bring in jobs and everything else for our community? Absolutely, I do. Thank you.
And for our final question of the evening, with the continued open border policy of the federal government, drugs, including methamphetamine and fentanyl, are pouring across into communities like ours. What should be the city's role to ensure the safety of this community moving forward? Ms. Gerich.
Oh, I love this question because that is my career. I work with the county attorneys. We try so hard to get the drugs and criminal activity off the street, and we work hand in hand with law enforcement to do that. Unfortunately, it is a massive problem. Do I wish they would shut the border? Absolutely, in my own opinion, yes, I do. However, that's not in our purview. And unfortunately, that is something we're going to have to deal with, and it's going to affect us greatly. We have pounds, hundreds of pounds of fentanyl coming through the border, and it's all counterfeit. None of it's real. It's mixed with whatever. I went on a ride-along a few weeks ago, and in that ride-along, there was a drug stop, which was, DPS has 2 agents that go around and do a great deed for us. Unfortunately, I don't think it's enough, but hopefully we'll get there one day. But that fentanyl pill only has one small bit of fentanyl. The rest of it is just garbage, junk, and that one little piece can actually kill someone. And the touch of it can secrete through your skin. We need to make sure that we get our officers. I believe there was, I'm quoting, that we're fully staffed. I do not, however, believe that's the case. I think that we still have a couple that we're under. I believe it's 5. However, that being said, let me go over here. We need to get a task force. We don't even have an auxiliary. Last year, we didn't have any auxiliary patrolmen or patrols. We didn't have a lot of things that we could definitely. Sorry about that. There was a lot of things that we went without because of COVID, I think. And so what we need to do is we need to get our task force back up and going, and we need to cut the drugs now. Thank you.
Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you. Well, I just talked with the FOP, and they told me, which is the police union here locally, and they told me how happy they are that we're finally, after 18 years, fully staffed. We are fully staffed. For a while, we had 9 officers out due to different reasons, medical reasons, injuries. So when that happens, we had to pull from our traffic. We had to pull from our drug enforcement. We might have had to pull from somebody that was undercover at the time because we have to keep our patrols going no matter what. Those 9 officers are healthy and back to work, and we just hired 2 more. And every year when we do the budget, I ask our PD, what do you need? What can I give you? I have given them everything they wanted every time and asked them if they needed more, wanted to give them more. One of the biggest problems, and I'm going to pat our police on the back, they have been excellent at getting these drug busts here locally. And they do have a drug task force where they're combined with DPS, with Kingman, a whole bunch of different organizations together. And if you've read the news lately, they've had a drug bust on I-40, they've had a drug bust on all over the place. They're doing great. One of the biggest problems we have, and I'm not putting them down, but it happens quite often, are court systems. These people are getting slapped on their hand. We need them to throw the book at them. We could take them off the, I'm sorry. We could take them off the streets all we want, but if you're not keeping them, you're just releasing them back on the streets, why are they going to stop what they're doing when they know they just get slapped on the hand? We need to prosecute these people to the fullest possibility. Thank you.
Dr. Ziri.
You know, I grew up in an area full of drugs. And I have many people who was my friend, they died because of the heroin and charas and in their teenager age. In last 27 years, I'm working here in the Bullhead city, and I see a lot of parents, you know. I remember a few years ago, one father, he came and he said that my son is addicted with Percocet. He's getting from the Mohave High School, and I want to go in a rehab program, and I cannot even afford it, $15,000 just. So we have a drug problem. First of all, I hope nobody is in denial that we have a big, big drug problem. I remember this lady, she came last city council meeting talking about fentanyl, Alicia. And then we have a K9 unit there asking for $200 from profit. This is not good. That K9 is running on volunteer when they are busting all these drugs all over. He was telling us how many $1 million drug they got, and we are not getting any support to them. If county get $8 million, you know, they should give them the money. If city has the money, I mean, we need to take care of this. You know why? Because it's really, really affecting young population, you know. And if you don't do it now, it'll be too late. So whatever need to be done as a mayor, I will do it. Thank you.
Each candidate will now have 2 minutes for a closing statement, and we'll begin with Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you very much. Well, we didn't get an opening statement, so I'm going to kind of combine the both. Let you know, for those of you that don't know me, I moved here 18 years ago. I was living in Las Vegas, had a very good job there, making good money. My wife and my son, who wasn't even a year old yet, we came out here for a weekend of fun and sun, and we drove around the community, and I started meeting a lot of nice people and everything. Make a long story short, I went back and put in my 2-week notice, and I moved out here. And that's what got me here. What's kept me here is the same wonderful people. We have the most loving, caring community that I've ever been part of. I grew up in the big cities. I didn't know that existed. All the people here, I don't care who you're supporting. We have wonderful people here in this town. And I want to go a little bit more. We own a small business here in town. I've been in the casino business for 32 years. Numbers is my specialty. I'm a numbers guy. I've been dealing with multi-million-dollar budgets for the last 30 years, including the last 8 years on the city council. I'm a veteran. I'm the only veteran running. I joined the Army and was in basic training 19 days after I turned 17. And I've been serving our country, our county, or our city in some capacity ever since then. I was a proven leader when I was in the private sector. I moved right up the ranks in the casinos, and I was running a casino manager on the Strip in one of our biggest casinos in Las Vegas. I came out here and downgraded and got into a nice, comfortable pit boss job where I could actually have weekends home with my wife. But then I was a proven leader. I got on the city council, probably a good 1/4 of the stuff that we're doing right now, a lot of the good stuff we're doing, I brought forward. I'm a proven leader. I always have been and always will be. And what makes me the best leader is I listen to the people that I lead. Without that, you're not a leader. Thank you very much, everybody.
Dr. Ziri.
Bullhead city is my home. This is the only place I have owned the business and personal property. I'm running for mayor because I really deeply care about our community since the day one when I moved here in 1995, 27 years ago. I have had opportunity to work with so many wonderful people. Some are even sitting here in our community throughout the last 27 years in the field of youth, in the healthcare, homelessness, education, non-profit, leadership, in the city as your city council. I step up whenever community need me. And right now, I'm working with some wonderful people on 4 projects, which is the community garden, outdoor gym, outdoor theater, and adult community, and adult daycare center. I'm educated, I'm experienced, proven leader, and a community advocate with a vision and plan to improve Bullhead City. My goal is to deliver exceptional service to our citizens, enhance quality of life and atmosphere, provide the atmosphere where our citizens and our business thrive. Let's work together to make Bullhead City better place to live for our this generation and next generation. Community first, local first. Thank you.
Ms. Gierich.
Well, let me just say, Bullhead City raised me, and it would make me nothing less than happy to give back to it and to give everything I have to make sure that I am a person that's working vigorously for the people. That is why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for the locals. I'm doing this for the families. I'm doing this for the people that were raised in the same way that I was and didn't necessarily get the same opportunities that I did. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows in this room that I will be the best mayor that I can possibly be. And most of the people that know me in this room know that when I set my mind to something, I do it exceptionally. I am a very smart, educated woman. I have a Juris Doctor, and that means I can work on policy and procedures and create a better place for our families to live. And that's why I want to run, because Bullhead City raised me. Thank you.
And that concludes our forum. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here. And thank you once again, candidates.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And thank you to our timekeeper, Mr. Larry Kendrick. And we hope that you were able to get to know your candidates a little bit better to make an informed vote on August 2nd. And if you would like to watch a replay of this, it will be on the Mohave Valley Daily News website, YouTube page, and Facebook page. Thank you all. Have a good night. Safe travels.
Oh yeah, that's like the Greyhound bus thing at the first one I ever did. I was like super
Hello, we would like to remind everybody how important it is to vote during primary elections, right, Aria?
No voice is too small.
Primary election voting is for everybody.
Including voters who are independent.
Request your mail-in ballot today or come and vote in person on August 2nd.
Dr. Ziri for mayor. Community first.